feel I must mention by listening to this podcast, you agree not to use this podcast as medical advice to treat any medical condition in either yourself or others. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice or consultations with your healthcare professionals. We're here to share stories and give hope. Please consult your own physician for any medication questions or medical issues that you may be having. Our bodies are uniquely ours, and something that may work for one person may not necessarily work for you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Heather Davies, and this is Meniere's Muse. This week, I'm talking with Tammy about her vestibular journey with drop attacks, vestibular migraine, neuritis, and Meniere's disease after a labyrinthectomy. Tammy shares how finding the right support group was vital in changing her life. She no longer felt alone. She found her voice within the vestibular community, which led to her passion for helping others with chronic illness. Today, she connects with others as a creator on the platform Clapper. As a vlogger on Clapper, she connects with other chronic illness warriors and currently has over 106,000 followers. She shares about her day-to-day challenges while supporting those with chronic illness as they face new obstacles in their own lives. Welcome, Tammy.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and about your vestibular journey.
Well, I am a 51-year-old, just turned 51 last week.
Happy belated birthday.
Thank you. Mom of four. My Meniere's journey actually started when I was in the third grade and I didn't even know it.
Oh my gosh.
I was asleep and woke up to everything kind of bouncing and spinning. And I remember yelling out for my mother because I was scared. So she came in and she didn't seem to be worried at all. So that kind of calmed me down and I ended up falling back asleep. Then I literally thought, it was the 70s. I'm like, she gave us some NyQuil or something, But once I got further into my journey, we realized that I had a vertigo episode. And it was probably a BPPV type of episode because I was asleep. Never really had any issues. And then I was in the hospital for 4 days when I was like 21, 22 for kidney issues. And when I came home, I had a violent vertigo episode. I was walking to the bathroom and made it halfway and everything just spun out of control. And I remember hitting the floor, crawling into the bathroom, gagging and trying not to, vomit all over the place. And then nothing. I was fine for years.
Wow.
No issues. Probably 2010, late 2009, 2010, I started hearing music that nobody else could hear. And it would get so loud that I would turn to Angie, my other half, and I'm like, can you, where's this coming from? I thought I was going crazy. I would put my ear to the vents because we lived in an apartment. I thought maybe I was hearing it from another apartment. Nothing. And it would get worse when I lay down. And it reminded me of like 1920s music. And it almost sounded familiar, but I always described it, when I started describing it to my doctor, I said, it sounds tinny. And what I mean by that is it sounded like it was coming through a tin can. When you're kids and you play with the phone, you make the little sounds. That's what it sounded like, but nobody else could hear it.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to an ENT because like I said, I thought I was going crazy.
Yeah.
My primary sent me to an ENT. And at that time, they did testing of the ears, the pressure, whatever type of scan that they did. And they said there was nothing wrong. It's like, okay. That was 2009 and 2010. Going into 2011, the music was getting worse. We had moved in the meantime and I could still hear it. And it would usually happen if it was quiet at night. When I would try to lay down and go to sleep was when it was the worst.
Yep.
And I would lay down and it would get really loud and then I'd sit up and it would kind of stop. So I was like, something's not right. December of 2011, Angie was working at a bar that friends of ours owned as like the door person.
Mm-hmm.
And I stopped in to see her. I literally went to the bar, ordered a drink, was talking to a friend, and I'm like, I don't feel good. I feel like I'm going to pass out. And I felt bad because his mom had just passed away and he's telling me about it. And I literally pushed him to the side and went and sat down in a chair. And the feeling got worse. And I remember standing up, looking at Angie and saying, something's wrong. Next thing I know, I wake up laying on the floor. Angie said, apparently I went into like a blank stare and I fell straight back and literally smashed the back of my head in on the concrete floor. So I got a severe concussion. That was December 2011. January 2012, I started noticing the ringing in the ears. And everybody has ringing in their ears from time to time, but this wasn't going away. So I went to my primary again, and she sent me back to the ENT. Couldn't find anything, you know, and they said it's probably post-concussion because my concussion was pretty bad. So the ringing wouldn't go away. It was getting louder. And at the time I worked for a brokerage firm, and very, very stressful job. I worked with clients that had brokerage accounts. So I was constantly monitoring, making sure they were following FINRA and SEC guidelines. So it was very in-depth and detailed and stressful. When I was at work one day, and I got this pain in my chest that shot up into my jaw and then down into my arm. And I got really dizzy. They ended up having to call an ambulance, and I ended up in the hospital on the cardiac wing for like 3 days. They told me it was anxiety. They said they couldn't find anything wrong. It's anxiety. Okay. Well, with my job, I was like, that's very possible. So going from there, I started noticing I was feeling like not in my own body. I was not dizzy, but just off. And I described it to my doctor as being, I felt high. I felt like I was on drugs. And the ringing in the ear was getting worse. And I'm like, something is wrong. I know that the ENTs have told me that nothing is wrong, but something's wrong somewhere. So I went to the neurologist, MRI, you know, they ruled out MS, brain tumors, you know, the whole gamut that they put you through. I was probably in and out of the hospital 4 or 5 times within a couple of months because I was having these episodes with my chest and then the dizziness. And it was my anxiety causing it, but I didn't know that at the time. And at the time, I didn't know I was experiencing derealization. So I went to a new ENT because my primary, she's like, I think you're having vertigo, you know, because I was wasn't really the spinning sensation at that point. It was more of just the dizziness, not feeling like I'm in my own body. Had no idea what was wrong with me. I didn't know anybody else that was going through this. So I was fighting this alone. I was getting to the point where I couldn't do things. I was having attacks driving. I would be driving, and when I would stop at a red light, I would still feel like I was in motion. I would have to look at the ground to make sure that I wasn't moving. So I went to this new ENT, and they did the water or the air test.
The caloric testing.
I was
like awful.
I've had the water and the air, and when they did that, they said something is definitely wrong with your right ear. I was like, okay, we're getting somewhere. You know?
Right.
So after a few more tests, he comes back and he literally writes down on a piece of paper, menieres. I'm like, what is that? I've never even heard of that. I'm like, well, fix it, make it go away. Whatever it is, just give me, you know, fix it.
Yeah.
And he's like, I can't. And he said, so I did all my research, and they put me through balance testing, which was not fun. And you can tell I have brain fog today because I can't remember the names of any of the tests with the goggles.
Okay. Yeah.
So they did that testing, which made me really just nauseous and sick. And I would call it, I almost went into remission after that. Like for a good year. I was fine. I didn't have any episodes. I felt good. The ringing had stopped. So
Were you on medication?
I changed my diet
Mm.
and I started taking meclizine.
Okay.
I took meclizine and then a diuretic. The diuretic almost killed me. I have extremely low blood pressure. And being on that diuretic, of course, made it even worse. So my blood pressure to this day is I'm still fighting. It gets down to like, I think 78/52 the other day. It's crazy. So we stopped the diuretic and I would take the meclizine. They had me taking it 3 times a day, daily.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Can I ask, knowing that you have low blood pressure, did they ever mention that, were you having drop attacks or was it syncopal episodes?
It was syncope episodes and
Oh,
drop attacks. I was
it
having both.
was.
I was
Okay.
having both. That's when things got worse. I went into remission pretty much. I call it remission because I was symptom free
Right.
for a good year, year and a half.
Mhm.
2013 changed that. I went downhill fast. It got to the point where I had actually changed jobs because I lost the job at the brokerage firm because I was missing so much work.
Yeah.
If I knew then what I knew now about like FMLA and all of that, I could have had a lawsuit per se on this brokerage firm. But I went to work for another company that was amazing, but it was doing payroll. So I had 3 computer screens that I was working on. So constantly moving my eyes around, I started feeling worse. I was getting a lot of neck tension. Dizziness was just off the chain. I started having the drop attacks. And I was like, all right, is this all part of the menieres or what else is going on? So I looked for a specialist. I needed, the neurologist literally Googled menieres in front of me. I had changed neurologists because I've educated so many doctors. I changed neurologist. He did a bunch more tests and he's like, I think you're experiencing vestibular migraines. So I'm like, great. I'm like, what is that? I'm like, I don't know anything about any of this. And that's around the time, a couple of years go by, I'm dealing with all these different symptoms. And that's when I found a Facebook group that that saved my life.
I think we met in that group.
Yeah, we did.
And Mummy C and Devil.
Yep.
In 2016.
Yep.
Maybe? Yeah.
That's about right.
Yeah.
I didn't know what was going on. I started having like neck pain so bad that I would cry.
Yeah.
Because there was nothing else I could do. And then I would have these episodes where it feels like my brain literally vibrates, like my brain shakes. And my eyes started feeling like they were jumping around. So I went back to the ENT first and I was like, is this part of the menieres? What's going, I've got this neurologist telling me vestibular migraines. Is it one? Is it both? And they're like, well, you can have both. He said the vertigo, the hearing loss, because that's when they found out I was losing my hearing on the right side. I actually have hearing loss. Well, I'm completely deaf now, but I had hearing loss on the right side. Severe is what they considered it. I wore a hearing aid for a while. My drop attacks got so much worse. Syncope episodes, I can kind of control those a little better because I upped my water intake. When I stand up, I make sure I do it very slowly. I can't stand for long periods of time. Like I can't stand and wash dishes because, after a few minutes, I start getting dizzy.
Mm-hmm.
So my syncope, I can kind of control that. However, drop attacks, no, they just hit. You never know. So 2018, end of 2018, 2019, my drop attacks got severe. Like I was averaging probably 2 to 3 a week.
Yeah, and you were getting injured.
Yes.
I remember that. Yeah.
I broke my nose numerous times. I actually just recovered. We've had to reschedule this because this eye was black and all bruised up. I can never fall where there's nothing around. I have to bounce off of something first.
Right. And it's something usually hard.
It's Murphy's Law,
Yeah.
But when they first said, vestibular migraines, I'm very med sensitive and I'm allergic to almost every antibiotic out there. So because they wanted to do the gentamicin shots in the ear to try to slow the vertigo down, because the vertigo and the drop attacks were getting to be severe. I can't do gentamicin shots because I'm allergic to it. So they had me on so many different medications. They had me on Topamax. There was another one, and every one of them, I couldn't handle the side effects.
No, and I remember you were trying so many, and there was a part, I just remember just watching one of your videos because you shared so much, and you were just getting depressed. I mean, really,
Yes.
it was a vicious cycle. There was just nothing positive. It was just doctor after doctor and medication after medication, and no good results.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Not one medication that they put me on for the vestibular issues helped me. It made me worse. Like I said, the diuretics, I couldn't take that. They tried to, I changed my diet to lower my sodium, which I had to redo that because I need the sodium. My body doesn't hold it. I'm still undergoing testing, trying to figure out why. They think it's because they thought POTS, and now they're not thinking POTS. They're leaning towards Addison's disease. So I'm like, just add to the 232 diagnoses I already have.
Right.
At this point, it's like, oh, okay, another one, So with menieres, the first thing they tell you is lower your sodium. I can't do that. So I kind of have to try and find that balance that doesn't put my blood pressure too low, but doesn't set off the vertigo and the Meniere side. Because in 2019, around that time with the videos that you're talking about, I was in a dark spot. I was in a dark, dark place. I literally would tell my family, this isn't living. I'm not living. I just exist.
Okay.
I can no longer drive. It'll be 4 years in November that I've driven a vehicle. I can't even be a passenger. I mean, if I'm in the car for more than 15, 20 minutes, it's not fun. I found a specialist in menieres. He's actually a neurologist over at Tampa General Hospital. And my first visit with him, I felt like I found my home.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I told him all of my symptoms. I said, I feel like I'm not in my own body. I'm having tinnitus, constantly in one ear. It's popping up in the other ear. I'm having these drop attacks. And he literally told me, he goes, it's like you went shopping and went down the dizzy aisle and just threw everything into your cart. I mean, he was so thorough and made me feel so at ease. And he put me through all those testing again. And
they all like to do their own testing. It's very interesting.
But it was good because I literally keep copies of every test that I've been through. Like, so I had all of these hearing tests that he could compare what my hearing was when he did the test and how much it had dropped. Even with and I had the hearing aid and it helped some, but I was down to probably less than like 50% in my right ear. And my drop attacks were getting so bad. And he said, you're going to fall one of these days and hit wrong. And I was like, what do you mean? He said, you literally could fall and break your neck or do something permanent or worse. Okay, what are my options here? So we went through the list of different surgeries, and I chose the labyrinthectomy. And that was in September of 2019.
Wow.
So I have no middle ear on the right-hand side. I'm completely deaf. What I didn't know going into that surgery was that I would have constant tinnitus in that ear. It's insane. It's louder than it ever was. Like right now, it is screaming. And there's different sounds that have incorporated. Sometimes it sounds like, you know, on a submarine, I think of a submarine radar, how a radar beep,
Yeah.
beep. I'll get that. I get what sounds like Morse code. I joke, I say, oh, my brain is trying to tell me something. I don't know Morse code. Maybe I should learn it, you know. But the goal of that was that we knew I would lose my balance because I'm taking half of my balance center away.
Right.
That the left side would compensate eventually. He said it would take a good year to recover. Yeah, I went bilateral.
Yeah.
So now the menieres is on my left side. And because I had the labyrinthectomy already, and I'm allergic to the gentamicin, I can't take the shots. My options are limited. So
Did you have improvement with the vertigo and the drop attacks after the labyrinthectomy?
I did.
But your balance was still off.
My balance is horrible.
Okay. Do you walk with a cane?
I walk with a cane and a walker. Around the house, I just kind of bounce off of things. I've got bruises all the time somewhere just because I don't want to walk with the cane. If I go to a friend's house, I'll take my cane. It depends on how I'm feeling that day. But if we go out anywhere, being around a lot of people, or if I walk into a store, the lights, depending on what their floor pattern is, I always have my walker. It stays in the car. I have two. I have one for the house and I've got one that stays in the car. So it's really just depends on how I feel that day. My balance has actually been getting worse and I need to make an appointment to go back over to the neurologist over in Tampa because I haven't seen him in a couple of months because I'm looking at, I want to get almost like those, you know, a crutch, like the little hand crutches, not regular crutches, but they're like canes for the hand. And he just made me completely lose my train of thought. Oh, so I need to make an appointment because my balance is getting worse. So, and he even told me, he said, your options are limited because we've done the labyrinthectomy. We can't do it again because then I will be completely deaf. So my hearing, the last hearing test I had done was last year, is down, according to the testing, it's down to like 70%. However, if we're watching TV and she starts talking to me, I can't hear. I can hear her speaking, but it's the word recognition. Yeah. I have to have subtitles on.
Me too.
I hate it. It's
I
horrible.
Do too. I do too. Do you have a hearing aid for your left side?
Not yet. I'm kind of going back and forth right now because being deaf on one side, you cannot tell what direction sound comes from.
Right.
So to me, it's always like right here on the left-hand side. I'm always saying, what was that? I said, that came from over there. And Angie's like, no, it came from over there. I'm like, so we're looking into cochlear implant.
You are.
Yeah. So I need to have another hearing test done.
That's a big step.
I know. And it's so scary. And I keep researching it. And then I have people that, you know, say they love it. And then I have people that say they've had a bad experience. And I'm like, you know, this is permanent. And then there's a chance that my body will reject it. And that's my biggest fear, is because I'm so allergic to everything. You know, it's like getting a transplant. Your body can literally reject the cochlear implant. I'm like, so we're looking at either that or the bone in, and I cannot remember the name of it to save my life, but it literally goes into the bone right behind the mastoid bone behind your ear. And it's like a little box and
I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah. Oh, babe, do you remember what that was called? The bone in anchor, Baha. It's called a Baha.
Baha. Oh, I have heard of that. I don't know much about it.
And
what's the benefit of that versus a cochlear implant?
Well, that's what we are going to discuss on my next, because I'm really not understanding how the Baha works.
Right.
I mean, it's supposed to do the same. It takes sounds and transmits it over to the other ear so that you can hear. But it's just one piece that actually goes into the bone behind the ear and then attaches to the auditory nerve. But they're going to have to go deep because I have no auditory nerve on this side. So I'm like, okay, I'm worried about that. Like, how deep do you have to dig into my brain? So that's going to be our discussion is,
Right.
which one is going to be the better fit.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm going to do, but I have to do something because when I first got the labyrinthectomy, I probably went a good year with no drop attacks,
Oh.
no vertigo, dizziness. I'm dizzy 24/7. Like I'm dizzy right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's never going to go away. I've just learned to adapt. I went off all medications other than I take Klonopin.
Yeah.
That does help with my dizziness if it gets real bad. But other than that, I went off of everything because it wasn't helping. And it's like, why keep doing this to my body if it's not helping?
Yeah. Sometimes you have more side effects than you do benefits.
Absolutely. And that's what was happening. The side effects were worse, causing my anxiety to go real high and then setting off other symptoms. So probably in the last year, I've noticed my vertigo has gotten a lot worse. I've had more drop attacks. I was just trying to sweep the floor, went to bend over with a dustpan, toppled over. Yeah, they can't do that. So I have to do something. And I don't know if a cochlear implant or the Baja is going to help. Maybe if the sound, but I'm literally just battling it day by day. Actually, I tell people that I don't battle day by day. I battle second by second.
Yeah.
And it's a battle every single day.
I see you struggling, but I also know I see how far you have come.
Yes.
What do you think is the biggest game changer for you?
Getting into that support group and finding others that were dealing with the same things
Yeah.
was a huge game changer for me because I felt so alone and I thought I was going crazy. And I literally had, thoughts that I just don't even want to be here anymore. I had it set in my head because my youngest at the time was in high school that all I wanted to do was watch her graduate. And then after that, I was fine with whatever happened.
Yeah.
That was my mindset.
Aww.
And getting into that support group and finding others, you have to have a support system. And that's what I'm trying to do now on other platforms is help build that support system.
Absolutely. I went on Clapper where
Mhm.
you told me you were, oh my goodness, your following is like over 100,000. I was like, okay, what is this all about?
Right.
So
This
interesting.
this week is it's funny because this week we're doing a virtual Easter egg hunt. And so we've got 5 creators that have the actual eggs, and then you've got like 20 plus decoys. So my whole page is, chronic illness awareness. And then also I have a feral cat colony. I'm like the stray hoarder. So my page is geared around that. But this week I was like, we will be back to our regular scheduled programming after Easter because I am a decoy. So tomorrow I have to post a video because I am with an egg, which I have over here that I have to paint tonight. I'm a decoy because the object is they have to find these eggs and do what's called a clap back. So you're doing a video and the original video is up in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
But after my experience with the support group, I'm like, I want to help others. Where can I do this? And I was on TikTok for a while and it was like that. No, too many kids, too many trolls per se. And I got invited by Clapper to join it's a new app when they first started. They started in July of 2020 and in probably late September, I got an invitation. So I joined and it was very political at the time. And I was like, yeah, I'm not a political person. This really isn't for me. So I left and I went back March of last year and started building this platform. But I started doing videos talking about what I was going through, symptoms that I was having, what my diagnoses are. And I started getting people sending me private messages. Hey, this is happening to me. I saw your video. And, I was like, I might be able to do some good here.
Mm-hmm.
So I got with a group of people that were bigger creators, and that helped me kind of build from there. And I have, I think, 106K followers now.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And
And
you know what I found? I don't know if you know this. I'm sure you've checked it out. You're the only one with Menieres that I searched it. And
yep,
is there someone else?
somebody else was just recently diagnosed because of me. Uh,
Oh,
you can go live on that app, like a
mhm.
regular live, but they also have what they call a radio. So it's kind of like a podcast within the app.
Mhm.
So me and 3 other people, one has lupus. The other one is dealing with cancer, a bunch of different autoimmune disorders. I have Hashimoto's disease. So on top of my menieres, I've got vestibular migraines, vestibular neuritis. I have Hashimoto's disease. I've got UC, ulcerative colitis. So I've got this whole mess. So we started this radio called Autoimmune Chronic Illness.
Mhm.
And right now we haven't been able to do it because the person that's battling cancer is not doing real well at the moment. So we're just waiting for her to kind of get more healthy. But we started doing this radio and having people come in. So we each talk about our different diagnosis, and kind of like this, we just talk about different things each week, and we would do it once a week. And I was getting so many people DMing me, and one in particular, I would tell them, okay, go see a neurologist, and I would tell them what to ask for, take a list of questions. Always, I'm huge on journaling, thanks to that group, that Facebook group.
Yeah.
I journal everything. What I ate that day, how much water or any fluid intake, what was the weather like that day? Because weather's a huge trigger for me. What activities did I do? So I started having her do that. And she started noticing her triggers. And I said, some things you can avoid, like I found bananas was a trigger for my vestibular migraines, which sucks. I love bananas, and I've never craved bananas more in my life. It's like, do I want to deal with a migraine or do I want to eat a banana?
I know.
So it's bad. I'm bad. But she started going to the doctor. She went through all of the testing, and they just diagnosed her with menieres. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I helped somebody.
Yep.
And that's what it helps me by helping others. So that's my biggest thing right now, is just trying to help as many people as I can.
That's great.
I do have an Instagram page. I'm trying to get it back up and running, and it's geared towards, it's called My Dizzy Journey.
Okay.
And it's geared toward anything vestibular or autoimmune related. It's just kind of a safe place where people can come and, talk about their issues. I always tell people I am an open book, and I will answer any question you have, and I will try and direct you as best as I can. And
That's awesome.
it seems to work. And on my page, like for my birthday, a creator got together and got a bunch of other people, and they did a bunch of videos wishing me happy birthday, and people telling me how much I've helped them that I didn't even realize. One of the girls that does the radios with us, she goes, I never talked about my illness until you gave me that confidence, because I will go on there, bruised face and all, because I show both the good and the bad, because everybody's like, positive, be positive, be positive. And that's great. I'm trying to stay positive. However, with what I deal with on a daily basis, positive is not a reality for me always. It's just not. It's not for anybody. It's not rainbows and sunshine. So they like the fact that they say I'm real, that I do show the good with the bad.
Right.
And it helps me. That's what helps me, is helping others. That's kind of my passion, because I can't do anything else. I can't work on a computer. I can't drive anywhere. So, and then I still have to limit my phone time, because that scrolling, sometimes it puts me down.
What would you say living with a vestibular disorder has taught you?
Ooh, patience.
Oh, yeah.
It's taught me patience, because I had none. Living with this disorder, I realized that never judge a book by its cover. You never know what someone's going through.
Right.
Because people look at me, and especially when they see me on social media, they're like, well, you don't look sick. I get that a lot,
Yeah.
or I'll get snide remarks made if I'm out with my walker. People can be just rude. I came out of a handicap stall in the bathroom at a store with a walker, and this lady looked me up and down and literally just made snide remarks. I had a snide remark made when my daughter was having surgery. I came into the waiting room, and there were a couple people sitting over on the other side, and they literally were like, oh, she's probably just doing that to get a handicap sticker. I don't even have a handicap sticker.
Right.
So it's taught me patience. It's actually helped build my confidence, and just looking at the world in a whole different light. Before I would, it was just happy-go-lucky, I've learned that life is not happy-go-lucky, and never, ever judge a book by its cover, I think is the biggest thing for me. Because I see so many people on social media get hate. And I hate to see it, because it's like people I say it in my videos all the time. Do I look sick?
Right.
I'm like, I may look a hot mess, but I don't look sick. Where in reality, I am very sick.
Gosh, it's so true. I put off doing this podcast for a long time because I felt guilty for feeling better. And yep. And I don't
Don't do it. Don't do it, because you'll get me going. I am jealous. I will tell you that. Please don't feel guilty, but I am jealous. I'm like, oh, because I see, how far you've come with everything you've been through. Like when you guys were on the boat, I was like, I'm so jealous. I'm like, I can't do that. But, and that's another thing is I had to learn, and I still battle it, not to judge my recovery based on someone else's recovery.
Yeah. It's hard.
It is very hard. I love the fact that you are, where you're at and how you feel, and that you have recovered so much.
Thank you. It's hard. And I mean, I have symptoms daily, but it took me a while, and I don't know what they call it, but it is because I'm moving forward and recovering, and there's so many that are so stuck. And I'm like, okay, if I just reach one person, that's worth it. So I'm like, I've got to do something. I like talking and connecting, so this is what I got to do. So, but I don't know where that came from, but I guess the guilt over recovering, and I get that. That's where we're going, is the judgment, because I took that risk and we sold our home and moved onto a boat. I get people that reached out to me and said that, oh, you can't have menieres. You can't be sick. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to prove how sick I am? No.
Right.
It was just a risk I took. We didn't know we didn't know if I'd be able to do that. But yeah, it's terrible that people are so judgy. But
my guilt comes in from canceling all the time. Like I don't make plans anymore. Like I felt bad having to cancel, our first one.
Oh goodness. Don't you think anything about it? I don't care about canceling any, because I'm upfront with everybody about our disorder. Right. We never know how we're going to feel from one moment to the next.
Yep.
And it is what it is.
My close friends, because I don't go out very much. I'm pretty much housebound because I get so sick when I go out. But my close friends, I have one in particular who lives right off the same street as me. Literally, she's 8 minutes away, and she's like a sister to me. She knows that, and they have a lot of gatherings at their house. If I'm around too many people, it's not good. And Angie will go all the time, and I'll stay home. And she knows, and she's researched it. Like she sends me articles on it,
That's great.
She goes, have you looked at this? Have you looked at that? And so it's great. It's great having someone in your life that they can't relate because they're not going through it, but they understand, and it's the empathy.
It is.
So when I don't show up, they completely understand. And when I do, it's like a celebration.
Right.
So but my guilt comes in is I miss people. I miss people.
I understand. Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm ever going to get back there. And that's the sad part. This may be my life. And I'm working on getting okay with that. That's why I started doing the clapper. And now I want to get my Instagram up and running to be able to help others and connect with others. It's my connection.
Can I ask you something on that clapper? Did I notice there was a community, like not only just the community with the internet, but like locally, like where you are, your physical address?
It has a location tab on it.
That's
and what
pretty
it
cool.
does, it'll put your city on your videos. So, and you can turn it on and off at any time. Some of a lot of my videos have it on there, but you can click on that, the location tab, and you can find other people. And there's literally 5 creators that we'll say friends, that we've been talking, that I found live like an hour and a half away from me.
Nice.
So we're all planning a clapper meetup. I've had people that came up over to Big Scary Bridge. I hate the Big Scary Bridge.
Skyway.
When I went to the doctor down there, I was like, I can't do this. I can't. Even going into Tampa, going across the Howard Franklin Bridge. I have to look down because the openness of
in the middle lane, and you
just slow down, and I'm just going to look at the floorboards here. But so you can turn that location on it, and they can click on it and find people. So it's actually, I like it because it's all adults. You still get adults on there that act like they're 3. You still have those judgy people.
Yeah.
But I have had people say, well, you're on social media, and I usually post a video a day, and it could be different things. Sometimes it's about chronic illness. And when I do my chronic illness videos, I always put the same 3 hashtags. You were not alone, chronic illness. And then I have my own hashtag, which is called Aries Panda Love, because I love pandas. So it's called Aries Panda Love. It's my own hashtag on Clapper. If you go to my profile and click on it, all of my chronic illness videos are in there. So it makes it easier for people that find me when they're new. I'll say, I've done a video on this, because I did a video, somebody was talking about dizziness, and I did a video. I said, there's lightheadedness, dizziness, and vertigo. Do you know the difference? Because I didn't until I experienced it. I thought it was all the same thing. And it's not. It's not.
It does prolong your getting to the right doctor, and because I didn't know how to describe it at first. I was just spinning. Yeah, didn't understand it.
Yeah, I told my doctor, I said, I don't do drugs, but I sure as, heck feel like I do. And, the vertigo, now I'm having, like, I call them mini vertigo episodes. I got up just this morning and I'm trying to clean, and it literally took me an hour and a half just to clean my bathroom, because I would do one thing and then I have to go sit down. And I was cleaning out the tub, and when I went to stand up, everything just for a second just spun real quick and then stopped. And I'm having those a lot lately, and so I don't know what's going on there.
And is that with movement?
Yes. So it seems to be, I'm trying to think. Yeah, it's every time, it's when I'm moving. But this one, I was trying to get up off the floor. So I had my hands on the tub, and as I was standing up, thank goodness I had my hands, braced, and I was still kind of braced, but it's just for a quick second. And it does it all. It probably happens about 6 or 7 times a week. So it's like, what's going on now? So I don't know, but I don't know if the menieres is just getting worse on the left side. I definitely can tell that my hearing has gotten worse, because I'm just forever making people repeat, and I hate that.
Me too.
Oh, it's like going to a restaurant. I can't hear. I have to make sure that I'm sitting with my left ear towards the end of the table where the waiter or waitress will be, because conversation's going on around me, and usually I still can't hear. I have to ask Angie, what do you say? I've learned to read lips I'm learning to read lips, and I'm looking at getting in, taking sign language. I was actually set up to do sign language classes, and then COVID hit and everything got canceled. So it was like,
I will send you a link. My daughter's taking some online for free.
really?
Yes, I'll send you a link. Yep,
Yes, please do.
I will do that.
Because that's what I want to do. Because my biggest fear is that I'm going to be considered severely, severe hearing loss on the left side.
Mhm.
So I really try to pay attention now to people's voices, what they sound like, because I'm so afraid I'm going to wake up one morning and not be able to hear. Before I had my surgery, I woke up one morning for work and was completely deaf in that ear, lost all hearing before the surgery. And I panicked and I had to call work. And I'm screaming. I've had to learn to keep my voice at a lower level because I was screaming because I can't hear. And I called work and I said, I can't come in. I'm completely deaf. I went to the ER. I was like, what is going on? And they did a scan and nothing. And they looked in my ear and they're like, we don't see anything. And it lasted probably for about 4 days before my hearing came back. And when I told my specialist, he said that's the Meniere side of it.
That's huge fluctuation though.
Yeah, completely, like no sound whatsoever.
Wow. I've only had it for bursts.
Oh,
I've never had anything longer than a couple hours, if that.
it
Wow.
scared me. And when we talked about the labyrinthectomy, I was going back and forth. I'm like, I'm going to be deaf on one side. And that's like when I wear my headset, I never put, I was in such a habit of putting one on both sides. It's like, or if I hear a loud noise, I still cover both ears, even though I don't want to. It's just habit. But it was a big change because, number one, my balance, I still don't have balance. Number two, I didn't realize I wouldn't be able to tell what direction sound came from. That scares me. I have this feral cat colony. I feed all the ducks in the neighborhood. There's a pond across the road and they come to my yard every day. So if you go to my clapper, it says Mom of Strays in my bio.
Yeah.
That would be why. So I'm always out there doing stuff with that, and I'll hear a noise or I'll hear like a cat crying and I'm like, where is it? I can't tell. And it causes my anxiety to skyrocket. So I have high anxiety. I'm clinically depressed and I suffer from PTSD from a previous relationship. So it's like I had a PTSD trigger for the first time by watching a TV show. And it was about domestic violence. And I just literally was sitting there watching it and had a full-blown anxiety attack and tears, crying, couldn't breathe. And I knew what was happening and I was trying to get it under control. And that's another thing this disease has taught me, is how to get myself calmed down, because I went off of everything.
Right.
So it's learning to adapt, and it's a new way of living is what I tell people. You have to learn a new way of living. I'm helping somebody right now who's just starting, and she's got so many issues, and I guarantee she's got vestibular issues. It's just trying to get her into the doctor. She's a friend on Clapper. She's in a different state, and she will call me on Telegram, which is a chat group. I don't know if you're familiar with Telegram.
No.
It's a chat group, but you can call people through it, kind of like Facebook Messenger. And she'll call me just in full-blown tears. And I'm like, I've been there, honey. I've been there. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. I couldn't see it for a long time. It took me years. It took me probably 8 years to find my team of doctors. I've got my primary, who's been with me since day one. I have my neurologist. I have my endocrinologist for the Hashimoto's, and then my cardiologist. Because we still don't know what's going on with my blood pressure, because they call it hypotension, and then with tachycardia issues, because my heart rate will jump to like 152, 160 resting. And it'll beat so hard, you can really see my shirt move. It's beating that hard. So I'm like, just figure out what's wrong with me. What else is going on? And tell me what I can do that doesn't involve medicine. Because she put me on sodium tablets. And she's like, I know you have the menieres, but she goes, we got to try to get that blood pressure up.
Did your triggers amp up or anything? Because I have some friends that have menieres that sodium really doesn't affect them.
Day-to-day sodium doesn't affect me, but when I went on those sodium tablets, yes, I suffered vertigo. I went on it for a month. We said we'd try it for a month.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I had 3 full-blown vertigo episodes and a drop attack. I'm like, no, I can't do it. But other than that, like every day-to-day, sodium doesn't seem to bother me. So, and that's where the journaling again comes in. You know, write down everything you eat, drink. Like I said, that's how I found out the bananas. Weather is a huge trigger. And being here in Florida, you know how that goes. You know, it's just.
And summer's coming.
Yeah.
I'm useless in the afternoons.
I should have been a meteorologist because I can tell what when a storm is coming. Yeah. But it's just I'm trying to help people learn a new way of living their life. You know,
that's awesome.
You're not going to be able to do the things that you're used to, and you have to mourn. It's like a grieving process. You know, I had to mourn my old life, and I still struggle with it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay. It's okay not to be okay.
Yeah.
But don't get stuck there.
Yeah, that's a toughie.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I find myself falling back into that, but you just got to know, okay, feel it, move on.
Exactly.
You just can't reach out. You have to reach out to somebody that's going to love on you, but really have that tough love too, and say, okay, you know what you need to do.
Yep. That's what worked best for me was, you know, and that, especially in that group, you know,
yeah.
Laura and that group is just, I love her. And
yeah, the group we're talking about is Mummy C and Double. She's got a public group, but the private group is more intimate.
Right.
I mean, they're both intimate, but there's just a different feeling in the private group. It's family.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I don't get in there as much anymore, and I
know, we both do. Need to pop in and say, hey. Absolutely. Well, is there anything else you'd like to share before we go on to our rolling questions?
No, other than that, you know, if you are suffering and, you know, get to a doctor, reach out to somebody, you know, find me on Clapper or go to my Instagram. Clapper is probably going to be the quickest way to find me. It's under Little Aries Devil. Yeah. And if they want to even email me, feel free to use my email address, because people, I try to help as many as I can, you know, and that's just it. That's therapeutic for me.
It's definitely needed. People need to know they're not alone. That's what I needed at the beginning, and I didn't know.
That's why I love that you're doing this.
It's awesome. I love it. I love everybody that comes on. All right. You ready for Whirlwind?
Yes.
Okay. Fill in the blank. Vestibular disorders are
PG rated. Let's see.
We can do both.
Vestibular disorders are a pain in the ass.
Agreed.
Yeah, they are definitely life-changing. Just a whole new life. You're going to live a whole new life. Vestibular disorders are life-changing, and it's okay. Sometimes they suck, but it's okay.
Yeah. There'll always be tomorrow.
Absolutely.
You feel your symptoms coming on and you're trying to be brave. What's the first thing you do?
I get to an area where I am alone. And usually that's when I will sit down and I do the whole anxiety, the 5 things, what I can see, what I can hear, what I can feel, what I can smell. You know, I try to get myself calmed down. If that doesn't work, I'm a gamer. I'll turn my Xbox on to try to get my mind off of it, because if I dwell on it, it makes it 10 times worse. When I feel it coming on, literally, I've done videos where I say I feel a vestibular migraine coming on, and I just go with the flow. I just battle each symptom. Neck tension, I put some biofreeze on my neck, and just kind of try to remember to do stretches. So it's just getting myself grounded and ready, per se, for whatever's going to hit. Because when my vestibular migraines hit, they usually last a week. Minimum, I'm averaging a week right now.
That's terrible. And your vestibular migraines, is there pain or are they silent? Or is it a mixture?
Both. They're both. Sometimes it's just the nystagmus with the eyes jumping around, the brain vibration, the derealization feeling. I hate that. It feels like I'm walking in a dream state. Sometimes there's no headache, but the neck tension and everything else, I know it's the vestibular migraine. Lately, the headaches have been there. Like I just came out of a flare-up the week before last. And on Clapper, I literally did a day-to-day update. Like this was day one. And you can tell by how I look.
You could tell by your voice too.
Yeah, you can literally see the progression. And that's why I do it. And then, when I come out of it. So I've done that a couple of times.
What's one thing people usually get wrong about you?
That I am completely healthy. People think that there's nothing wrong with me. People tend to think I'm mean and intimidating for some reason.
I don't know why that.
I don't know. I don't either. I don't get it. It must be this vibe I put off. I am an Aries, so. But yeah, people tend. Even my two very best friends to this day, when we first met, they were like, "Oh, I thought you were just this." I don't want to, say it that, I'm like, really? So yeah, people tend to think I'm mean. I don't know why.
That's crazy. What's your favorite meal?
Chicken Alfredo.
Oh goodness. Have my mouth watering.
Yeah. Oh gosh, that sounds good. I'm going to do that for dinner. Chicken Alfredo is my very favorite. Olive Garden has a steak and chicken Alfredo combo. Ooh, if you haven't had it.
It's dangerous.
Yes, it is. When they do their all you can eat, I'm like, that or anything with potatoes. I'm a potato fanatic.
My husband's the same way. Anything. He could eat potatoes 3 times a day. Any different way.
Yep.
What's the last show you binged and loved?
Oh, The Last Kingdom.
Oh, I love that. Did you watch didn't they just have a new season?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's
I hate that it's over. I know it sucks.
That I know when it came on, I was so excited. Absolutely love that show. So that's because I binge watch through. I've got every streaming service there is. So,
yeah.
But yeah, that was I just finished that a couple weeks ago, and that's my favorite.
What's on your nightstand? As she giggles.
Right? There's a lamp. That's kind of my catch-all in the bedroom. So there are clothes. The lamp, I have a bowl of water right now because my kitty that had surgery has been kind of hanging out in my room, and the other kitty has seizures. So he's been really aggressive and beating up on him. So there's a bowl of water on there. Probably some change. And a credit card. I threw a credit card on there yesterday. It's a mess.
What's an activity that completely relaxes you?
My Xbox.
Your Xbox? Now, when you were saying that before, I know that some VRT can be done, but have you found anything like that might be able to help with your balance?
No, when I went through it, the VRT before.
Yeah.
I could say it helped a little bit.
Yeah. I guess it's hard whenever you're actually missing.
Right.
Yeah, I guess that's.
If
I don't know much about it.
If my left ear if I had not gone bilateral, my left ear eventually would have compensated for the loss of the balance center. I know people, there's a guy that had a labyrinthectomy in another group that I'm in the week before I did. He's mountain biking now.
Oh my goodness, that's awesome.
I know. I'm like, he mountain bikes. He's out. It took him about 1.5 years and to recover. And when I see that, that's when I like, why can't I do that? You know, what's wrong with me that I can't do that? And then I have to stop myself. You know, it's like, I can't judge myself on that. But if it had compensated, I think it, you know, the VRT would have worked, but because it's getting worse, this is my life.
Yeah.
I'm okay with
that. You figure it out.
You have to.
Yeah. What movie could you watch over and over and never tire of?
Ooh, that's a good one. There's a couple. Probably Forrest Gump. I love that movie. I love
It never gets old.
No, I literally could watch that. Or I'm also a Marvel and DC nerd, so probably any movie with Thor in it, I could watch over and over. He's
so much there out there. He is pretty.
He's so pretty. But no, Forrest Gump, I would never tire of. I absolutely love that movie.
Cool. What's your favorite or thing you use out of your vestibular toolbox more than anything?
My journal. Journaling. Or doing the videos. Sometimes when I'm really symptomatic, I'll do a video and just get interaction with people, or I'll go live for as long as I can. I've literally fallen out on a live, you know. I started getting dizzy and I'm like, but that's the journaling, because I love to read, but I can't read that much anymore because the line, you know, getting the lines. And I like audio books, you know, listening to it, but it's not the same.
No, it's not.
But yeah, my journaling. But then I have to be careful with that.
Yeah.
All the writing, and I'm not used to, my hand gets tired and cramped, you know, because I can write forever.
And what, the last question is, what are you extremely grateful for right now?
Angie, my wife. She is my anchor. She literally does everything. You know, I can't get in the car and drive to the store. I can't do the laundry. I can't do the dishes, you know, and she now works from home, so I'm never alone, you know. And when she does go places, you know, she's like, don't do anything, just sit here. And she's like, I know you, because I'm stubborn, you know. I tried to climb up a step ladder. So,
oh God.
Oh yeah, I tried to get on a step ladder because I was trying to hang this clock that hangs on the wall behind me. But she does, like, she had to pick up where she's literally become my caregiver. So yeah, that would be what I'm most grateful for.
Well, that's awesome. You're very lucky to have her.
I am. I really am. Because people that I've talked to, their other halves, their spouses or their partners or whoever, don't understand.
No.
And they don't get that support.
Yeah. I can't imagine.
No, I can't either. But they come to me, and, you know, I try and help as much as I can, but I'm not there. You know, I can listen and I can talk to you, but you've got to have that. If you don't have a support system at home,
it's tough. I cannot even imagine. That's when you really need to lean on your vestibular family.
Yes.
Sure.
If you don't have a system at home, find a group, find a support group. My daughter we just found out my 19-year-old has stage 4 endometriosis. And I'm like, I know Laura has endometriosis. Yeah. So I was telling her about her. I'm like, find a group, because I don't know much about it because I don't deal with it. So support.
They're out there. You just got to search through and find one that feels right.
We're right here. Yeah.
Well, Tammy, it's been so great talking to you today. Thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, no, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for joining me, Heather Davies, and my guest, Tammy, on this week's episode of Meniere's Muse. If you would like more information on vestibular disorders, please find the link to VITA, Vestibular Disorders Association, in the show notes. If you would like to connect with Tammy, please follow the links to her Clapper and Instagram page. If you'd like to connect with me, Heather Davies, please feel free to reach out to me via email at menieresmuse@gmail.com or find me on Instagram. Be sure to subscribe to Menieres Muse for updates. Have an amazing week, warriors.